Welcome to the Church Law Tax Tips from a Pro video series. Today we'll be discussing 1099 employees with CPA and author Elaine Sommerville. So let's jump right in.
This is a question that we do also see quite a bit through Church Law and Tax, and that is just really identifying who is a true quote unquote 1099 employee. And this is especially in the area of musicians. They maybe only perform one or two times in the year. They're, in this particular question, this is Noreen who's asking, they're not really truly a church employee. So can they be paid as a 1099, independent contractor? How does that work?
I would tell it goes to control. There are lots of tests, but this is the biggest one. If you can tell that worker how to do their job, and define those expectations and be able to tweak how that is done, you have an employee, not an independent contractor. That can even exist if they only do one service for you a year. Now, to that goes the musician who performs once a year. There's two outs. Number one, if you pay someone less than $100, we don't have to withhold FICA and Medicare taxes, and we don't have a federal income tax withholding. So if you paid somebody $75, we don't have a tax issue. If you are paying someone and just it's still very low, then your risk is not huge, but you still technically probably have an employee. So what I tell people on musicians is, unless that musician himself, him or herself, gets to decide what songs he or she is going to perform and what key they're going to perform them in and what the click's going to be when they set the sound system up, you have an employee. So that's kind of my response to the musician question. Most of our musicians are going to be employees, even though they only perform once or twice a year. The independent contractor is supposed to be working free of all that control and just accomplishing a goal, but they get to figure out how they accomplish the goal. The employee is generally told what the goal is and how to accomplish it.
I think that's a helpful distinction. It's just even occurring to me as you're explaining it. I think oftentimes we get hung up on the frequency of what someone does, and that really, in the end, is irrelevant compared to what you're talking about, which is the direction and control that the church has.
That's right. Looking at all the tests as a whole, frequency is never talked about. It is totally not within the testing of it. And so it's important to understand that we do have some cases out there, not in the church world necessarily, but in other worlds, where people did perform one time in the music industry and got a W-2 for it. So
Thanks for watching. Be sure to visit our website every week or subscribe to our YouTube channel to access every tip in this series. We also invite you to explore Elaine's latest edition of Church Compensation for even more tips just like this.